Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of LA Rams Central. I hope you guys like the new intro. I had to change out the music because if I want to get money, which I'm now officially monetized, then I will probably not be able to air the video because of copyright rules, even though it's not the whole song. I don't know how any of that crap works. Hopefully, you like the new beat. Try to make it make sense, at least work. Still using the same image from the 84 wildcard game until maybe I can't do that either. We'll find out. But at any rate, I'm Anthony.
And I'm Eric.
And this is LA Rams Central. So let's get the 66th episode kicked off because we combined 64 and 65 together in one big 2-hour blowout. So as you guys know, I don't have a lot of input on these games because I didn't watch them, although I will be honest with you, I did go back and look at a lot of the statistics, so I will give some input. But this is going to be a very brief recap of Week 10. So we'll start with the Thursday night game. Only thing I can really add to that is what I saw in the news after the game, which is that Richard Sherman is now Sherman Williams as far as his playing ability because he is off the field for the rest of the year with a torn Achilles tendon. Eric, I know you weren't going to cover this game, but I mean Seattle wins, they go 6-3. Arizona loses, they go 4-5. Neither team looks very good right now, and I think the Seahawks are in a world of hurt.
Yeah, the Seahawks are hurt. The Cardinals aren't faring much better. Drew Stanton, and we'll get to the preview for this, but Drew Stanton ended up having a sprained knee at close to the end of this game. He's actually not going to be playing in the next week. Blake Gavin will be starting, but that's not even, you touched on the injury, and that would be Richard Sherman, who injured his Achilles. He's out for the year. But Seattle gets Earl Thomas back. But this game was basically, let's see who can get off the field healthier, and that team's going to win. Adrian Peterson was held 29 yards rushing. Fitzgerald had a great day. 113 yards receiving on 10 catches. But other than that, it was kind of a snooze fest, if you ask me.
Yep.
Jimmy Graham was huge in the red zone with 2 touchdown catches, but that was the 2 big highlights there.
You got it. All right, Eric, go ahead and jump into the Saints and Bills.
Saints and Bills, we both picked the Bills in this game, and the Saints come out and roll with Bills 47-10. Guys, you're looking at a whole new Saints dynamic. Offense, defense, special teams, but here's what the New Orleans Saints are doing. And Anthony, I texted this to you on Sunday. I literally said, word for word, I can't compete in fantasy because, A, I have Drew Brees. And what is Drew Brees known for? Well, he's known for having 5,000-yard passing seasons. When the Saints are, A, running the football and scoring on rushing touchdowns in the red zone, that takes away from everything Drew Brees has ever done. However, when you have Mark Ingram running for 131 yards, and you have Alvin Kamara also running for over 100 yards, and you're close to 300 yards on the ground, that Buffalo offense is sitting on that sideline for a long time. Now, Tyrod Taylor had 59 yards passing before he was yanked late in the fourth quarter for Nathan Peterman. And he led a touchdown drive. He only had 2 drives, which apparently was enough to convince the Bills to, go ahead and start him the following week. Yeah. And so, we'll touch on that when we preview the Bills, but the Saints dominated, just absolutely dominated Buffalo. And right now, Buffalo sits in the 6th spot in the AFC, so they would have the second wild card. But they need to right the ship. While the Saints are one of those teams, watch out for the Saints along with the Vikings, the Rams, and the Eagles. Those are the top 4 teams in the NFC right now.
Yeah, the Saints have won 7 in a row. They're getting a lot of love, and rightfully so. One of the teams that should not be getting a lot of love is the Minnesota Vikings. I don't know why they're getting more credit than the Rams. I was listening to a thing today that said that the Vikings will actually go further in the postseason than the Rams, and I just kind of laughed and went, okay, that's how it's going to be? All right, we'll see this weekend. But anyway.
Let me add one more point. This is the second time this year that Drew Brees has won a game and he didn't throw a touchdown pass.
That's crazy.
First one was against the Bears. Second one was against Buffalo.
Yeah.
There were 4 rushing touchdowns. Oh, yeah. And Drew Brees also ran for a 7-yard touchdown.
Yeah, I was going to say.
He only had 184 yards passing. So you're scratching your head. You're like, is this a new Drew Brees? Imagine if this was Drew Brees 10 years ago. What he would be now. That would be ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, if anything, it'll extend his career. All right, you want to jump into the Bears and Packers. So really quick, the Saints are 7-2. The Bills are 5-4. In this game, Green Bay improved to 5-4, and the Bears dropped to 3-6. Take it away, Chi-Town.
Well, as far as the Bears go, I was looking for them to come out very hungry in this game after the bye week. Green Bay playing on a week of short rest, and it was completely the opposite. The Bears actually dug themselves a hole pretty much throughout the game. Penalties here. There were no turnovers in the game by either team, but the Bears made Brett Hundley look like a serviceable quarterback. Guys, newsflash, Brett Hundley is not a serviceable quarterback. Devontae Adams had a big game, 2 touchdowns, 90 yards. Trubisky had a decent game if you look at the stats, 297 yards passing, career high for him. But it was pretty much empty yards. But I will tell you, there was a sliver of hope. Not on the Bears defense because they couldn't stop snails on the Soldier Field grass if they tried. But Dontrell Inman looked pretty good. He caught 6 of 11 targets. Dropped a pretty important pass in the fourth quarter, but I'm going to give him a pass on that only because it was mainly his first game action since coming over in the trade, and he was actually used quite a bit. Now, typically Inman is like a 3-4 wide receiver, but here in the Chicago offense, he's number 1, so he's going to be used plenty. He's going to be thrown at plenty. The Bears just couldn't stop anybody. Aaron Jones started off the game. He sprained his MCL. He's out 3 to 6 weeks. Ty Montgomery then took over. He had a 25-yard scamper untouched the end zone. It was ridiculous. A semi-sideways could have went through there. Then he injured his ribs, so he was out. And then Jamal Williams took over. He ended up being the leading rusher with 67 yards. But, it was Green Bay just made plays. I mean, two big pass plays to Devontae Adams was pretty much the game. A lot of emptiness on the Bears' offense, field goals. They did have one nice touchdown pass. They had a touchdown that ended up being overturned. I don't know if you saw that replay or not, where it was challenged, but John Fox thought it was the right thing to do. He threw the challenge flag and ended up costing them possibly having the ball at the 1 or 2 yard line. Instead, it was Green Bay ball at the 20. So
yeah.
Just a bad overall game for the Bears. I expected them to come out, excited, ready to play, but lo and behold, another Bears loss. But we're kind of used to those out here this year.
Yeah, no kidding. I'll get to this here in a minute. I want you to comment on this in a second, but hold on a minute.
I got out timeout.
Okay. My turn. Good night, buddy. Sorry, I had to give my kid a good night blessing and whatnot. So, the Cleveland Browns right now are 0-9. If they, first of all, Eric, do the Browns win one game this year?
I've been reading quite a bit of things on the Browns this year, and I have been looking at their schedule. And I've noticed some people have been picking the Browns to beat Cincinnati in Cincinnati. I don't know if I see it. I've also seen the Browns picked at home to beat Green Bay. I'm not sure. Their best chance to win one is Week 16 against the Bears. But I don't even know if that's going to happen. I still think the Bears have better talent all around than the Browns do. The Browns just might have a better wide receiving core when it comes to it, but that's about it.
Here's why I say that. If the Browns go 0-16, Hugh Jackson as the Browns head coach is 1-31. If they win a game, he's 2-30. The man should never get a head coaching job ever again in professional football. He is the very definition of recycled dog crap. And I don't want to hear about his 8-8 record in Oakland. Keep him as an OC. Never hire this man as head coach. Sasha Brown, should immediately be fired as GM due to the performance of Carson Wentz and Deshaun Watson this year, and that should go unquestioned. Okay? The Lions are 5-4 with a 38-24 win over Cleveland. The Browns made it close in the first half, and then Detroit blew the doors open in the second. Now I want to get to the next game. The weakest, most pathetic 7-2 team in NFL history, the Pittsburgh Steelers, who won this week to go 7-2, 20-17 over the Colts in Indy. Now I know what you're saying. Oh, they're a different team at home. Really, tell that to Jacksonville, because Jacksonville made them look pretty awful at home in Pittsburgh. I'm not sold on this Steeler team. I think Ben Roethlisberger's done. I think Antonio Brown is a crybaby. And I think you put 8 in the box, you stop Le'Veon Bell, and you bank on the fact that you can beat up on their defense and pressure the quarterback. I'm sorry, but basically the AFC Championship game at the end of this season is going to be, let's see who gets blown out by the NFC in the Super Bowl this year. That's what the AFC Championship game is. And your number 1 seed, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay, or 2 seed, whatever they are. Who knows how they're going to break that down. I'm not sold on Pittsburgh. This is not a team that scares me. I look at this team, and I'm hoping the Rams play them in the Super Bowl. I really am. And if I'm an Eagles fan, I'm hoping Pittsburgh goes. Not because you have an all-Pennsylvania Super Bowl, but because you know you're going to be the second team to never beat the Steelers in the big game. Because they're not good. They're average in a very woefully pathetic conference. I haven't seen a conference this bad in a long time. And it ain't getting any better. I'm sure you have a comment. They're your boys. Fire away.
Well, I could also throw in what Pittsburgh did to Kansas City on the road in Kansas City, but I won't go there. Listen, Indianapolis had this game. I don't know what happened to Indy. They had some big plays from Brissett. Chester Rogers had a big catch, and Dante Moncrief had a 60-yard catch. It's very rare when you see Moncrief go yard, but they found holes in the Pittsburgh defense. You watch the Chester Rogers touchdown. He ran straight down the seam. Like, literally, he did not sway from where he started to where he ended up. It was a straight line, and Pittsburgh just let him go uncovered. Pittsburgh has holes in their defense. I don't know what's with their offense, why they can't get going. Antonio Brown only had 47 yards, and Bell had 80 yards, but they were pretty much 80 empty yards. They did what they could. It was 17-17, and Bondwell actually ended up missing a go-ahead field goal in the fourth to give Indy a chance to possibly take the lead. And then they couldn't even go anywhere. They kept going backwards. So they punted, and then Boswell hit a game-winning field goal.
Yeah.
There was a little time at the end, but that's the only time Pittsburgh led in the game. So they let it skip with a W, and now they got to go. Now they got to go play on short rest.
Well, true, and I don't think they're going to beat Tennessee. We'll get to that when we do our picks. But a lot can be said. You know why Pittsburgh won this game? Because down 17-3, they knocked Jacoby Brissett stupid and concussed him. And somehow he goes back in the game after one play, probably because they realized who was going out on the field, and Scott Tolzien, and went, oh, dear Lord, no. We'd much rather have a concussed Jacoby Brissett, but Jacoby Brissett was knocked stupid. And that was the ball game. As soon as he was concussed, it was a completely different situation.
The Colts actually were kind of ridiculed about that. I don't know exactly what you're talking about. And they said that Brissett didn't start showing symptoms until 20, 30 minutes after the game. Okay, sure, whatever you said.
Right. Okay, so the game no one wanted to win, the 3-6 Santa Clara Chargers against let's just call them the San Diego Chargers because it looks like they're going back anyway. The San Diego Chargers didn't want to win the game, but apparently neither did Jacksonville in a 20-17 game that fittingly ended in overtime on a blocked field goal that was good. I don't think there's much to be said. Jacksonville 6-3. They're winning ugly, but they're winning. And the San Diego Chargers are starting to realize that they are not only not welcome in LA, but they've got no home. And I think they may be relooking at this lease situation and going, is it too late to go back to San Diego and maybe work out a deal? because it doesn't look good for San Diego. Phillip Rivers did get injured from what I heard, but he will be back. Am I missing anything?
Yeah, he is. He's in a concussion protocol.
Yeah. Am I missing anything with that game, or does that pretty much cover it?
That pretty much covers it.
Okay.
You know, really quick though, whatever the Chargers, I don't know what to call them either anymore. Whatever the Chargers were doing at the end of the fourth quarter, throwing the ball like deep and getting picked off, that shows what kind of record they have currently. It looked like they were trying to lose that game in all seriousness.
Yeah, no, it absolutely did. The Jets at the Buccaneers, the Fitzpatrick Bowl. The Jets are starting to look like the Jets we all thought they were. They dropped to 4-6, I believe. Is it 4-6? Let me look.
Yeah.
It is. Yes, the Jets are now 4-6. I believe this is their bye week this week. I think it better be at least. There's only 11 weeks.
It is their bye week.
Yeah, so they're 4-6. They're starting to look like we thought they would, and the Buccaneers are as bad as I thought they were, and they are now 3-6. They get their rematch against Miami this week. The game was supposed to be week 1. They will play each other now, and yeah, there's not much to be said about that. Two bad football teams spiraling out of control.
I'm going to sum this game up really quick. It was a slop fest. Next.
Yep, exactly. Cincinnati at Tennessee. The Titans are 6-3. The Bengals are 3-6. I didn't see the game. Looking at the score and the stats, it looked like it was probably a pretty decent game. Tennessee's Marcus Mariota was just a little bit too much for Cincinnati to handle. Andy Dalton continues to struggle in this new offense, no matter who's the coordinator. And, it doesn't look good for the Bengals. I agree with you. I don't think they're going to lose to Cleveland. But I don't think they're going to win more than 4 games this year. And I think Marvin Lewis just coached his last season in Cincinnati. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, I think Mariota is over his hamstring injury that hurt him a little bit earlier in the season. He had 51 yards rushing with a long gain of 28. So his legs are feeling really good, and he's going to need them on Thursday night against Pittsburgh when we preview this game. We'll go into it. I mean, it could be the difference between Tennessee winning or losing, depending on how he's feeling, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that. Now, I want to mention this before you take this game. No team in the NFL has more impressive wins on their resume than the Washington Redskins. No team has more head-scratching losses on their resume than the Washington Redskins. So without further ado, the now 4-5 Redskins, who lost 38-30 to the 7-2 Vikings. Take it away.
Yeah, the Redskins have 3 wins against the NFC West. Two teams which are over 500, and then against the struggling Oakland Raiders. And they still have the Arizona Cardinals later on in the year to finish out their impressive 5-win season. Kidding, they'll probably beat the Giants twice as well. Anyways, so yeah, this game actually got out of hand pretty quickly. The Vikings started throwing the ball. They were hitting Stephon Diggs all over the place. He was over 100 yards. Adam Thielen had 166 yards receiving and a touchdown. But you wouldn't know it because Case Keenum wasn't even the leading passer in the game. That was Kirk Cousins with 327 yards. But Keenum was on point. The game did get close in the fourth quarter. Keenum did have 2 interceptions in the second half to kind of bring this game a little bit closer than it should. Washington has no run game. Robert Kelly left the game early. He's now been placed on IR, so that hurts them. Samaje Perine, he just got a lot of empty yards. He had about 60-something yards rushing, and it really didn't look like they were utilizing Chris Thompson as much in this game either. So it was more of, hey, we're going to throw to Vernon Davis. We're going to throw to Jamison Crowder. He had another good game. Pryor was non-existent. Duxett had about 20, 30 yards receiving. And so, this is what's been hampering Washington all year, is not being able to get their wide receivers involved. As far as Minnesota goes, they use their defense in the first half. Again, like I said, it got closer because I think they were playing soft in the second half from what it looked like. But Case Keenum in the first half was throwing the ball pretty much wherever he wanted. The Vikings had a semi-decent ground game going with Latavius Murray at 68 yards. But, the Vikings used their defense early. They used their offense throughout the whole game. And, I mean, Adam Thielen, what a day. Eight catches, 166 yards, and a touchdown was ridiculous. He had a huge game in week 1 against the Saints as well. And this is he's finally getting in the end zone. That's I believe 3 weeks in a row now for him.
Yeah. Dallas at Atlanta. No Ezekiel Elliott. Atlanta improved to 5-4. Dallas looked as bad as we all thought they would without Ezekiel Elliott. They are now 5-4 as well. I believe. Were they 6-4?
Not to mention, you got to mention this. Adrian Claiborne, 6 sacks on Dak Prescott, basically changed the whole dynamic of this game. Dallas got out to an early 7-0 lead, and then Atlanta just scored 27 straight and put them away. But it wasn't close after the second.
Yeah, Dallas is going to struggle down the stretch, and like I told everyone, Atlanta was 6-3 at this point last year. They're 5-4. They're not far off the pace that they had before they went on their tear. So I'm not giving up on Atlanta yet.
Let me clear up something for everybody who's listening. I don't think that Ezekiel Elliott would have changed the dynamic of this game. Not the way that Claiborne was terrorizing that right side of the left side of the Dallas offensive line. So there was going to be pressure either way. I know that Elliott brings a different dynamic. He can catch on the backfield. He can pick up some blocks, but you're a professional football player in the backfield. You should be able to pick up a block here and there, or even put Witten on his side to help slow him down. But Dallas didn't adjust, and that's all on Jason Garrett. Yeah.
Well, the bottom line is apparently they don't have any help for their left tackle in their playbook, as I heard this week. New York Giants are 1-9. The San Francisco 49ers are 1-9. McAdoo didn't get fired. Forgive me if you're out there and you happen to be hearing this show. There is a gal that does her own little Giants recap. I just heard her for the first time with her reaction to the Rams-Giants game, and I saw her reaction to this game. I will get her name for the next show on Saturday when I do a special little crossover with LT from Combat Sports LA, which I'll get to later. But she's great, and I really like her input. And she's like, McAdoo doesn't get fired. I don't get it. And I agree with her. She talked about Janoris Jenkins quitting. She talked about how this Giant football team is it's a dumpster fire. And I'm going to get her name because she's a really good listen, and she knows her crap, and that's awesome. So I want to make sure people get her YouTube page because she's pretty good. And she's loving on Goff right now. She's definitely paying him huge dividends and compliments, which I can appreciate too. But she's a classy Giants fan. Her team loses and she gives respect to the other team. And in this case, she just lambasted McAdoo. I don't know how the guy didn't get fired. He's an absolute joke. He should never have been head coach to begin with. And I've already spent too much time on the two worst teams in football. I do think the Browns could beat both of these teams if they played them. That's how bad they are right now. The Patriots against the Broncos. New England improved to 7-2. Denver's 3-6. I love how New England beats Denver, and all of a sudden they're the greatest team in the NFL all over again. Never mind looking at their schedule and going, who have the Patriots beaten this year? Let me get this straight. They played the Jets. They've played Denver. They got their teeth kicked in by Kansas City. Who else have they played? They beat New Orleans, but that was when New Orleans was struggling.
They lost to Carolina.
They lost to Carolina. They should have lost to Houston. Again, I will take New England in the Super Bowl because the Rams would put 50 on them, and they wouldn't score more than 21. And it would be an awesome revenge game for Ram fans. But again, if I'm an Eagles fan, I'm like, bring on the Cheatriots. We got to pay them back too for what happened a few years ago. So no one in the AFC impresses me. And the more you beat up on these weaker teams in the AFC, you just realize how much of a gap there is between the top 3 teams in the AFC and then everybody else. It's nice to see Tennessee and Jacksonville at 6-3 and competing. That's why this Thursday night game for me is such a big game. But I'm not impressed with the Denver game. New England went into Denver and beat a bad football team that's fallen apart. Enough said. Miami against...
Yeah. Let me add something. Do you remember a couple of weeks back when Bill Belichick talked up Joey Bosa of the Chargers?
Yeah.
Guess who he talked up against Denver?
I'm going to guess Von Miller.
Guess what Von Miller did?
Nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's what he does. He takes out their best player, whether it's an offensive or defensive player. We had a really good in-depth analysis on that show, and then the damn thing didn't record. That's one of the reasons I was upset is we had this really nice dialogue about Belichick and why he's such a great coach and what he does, and then the darn thing didn't stick. Carolina at home against Miami. Panthers improved to 6-3. Dolphins dropped to 4-5 or 4-6. No, 4-5. I was right. This is. I mean, ball game. I mean, there's nothing left to say. So the only game. The only.
I want to give a shout out to one player in particular in this game. Jonathan Stewart, hats off to you, all-time leading rusher, just eclipsed, all-time leading rusher of Panthers history, eclipsed over 7,000 yards. You know, he's had to share time with D'Angelo Williams, and now he's had to share time with Christian McCaffrey. So, you know, talk about an all-class football player. I like what Jonathan Stewart brings to the game of football. You know, his classy, toughness, grit. He just goes out there and plays. He tries to do what's best for the team. Carolina just seems to try to not get him the ball as much, but you know he's always there. He's getting his yards, scoring his touchdowns. Don't sleep on the Panthers, although they suffered a pretty bad injury in their wide receiver core where they could at least afford to do that. Chris Samuel out for the year with a knee injury, and he was one of their speed guys, and now they have to rely on Funchess. They're getting Greg Olsen back in week 12. Ed Dixon is still there, and Russell Shepard, who seems like he couldn't catch the ball that well in the game, but you know he showed up as well. So they're going to hurt on offense a little bit. They can't have Cam do everything. They do have Cam do everything. Cam's career is going to be very shortened.
Yeah, I don't think they care about that though. I think they know they need to do something. So, all right, we're gonna cover the Rams now. So I did not watch the game, as everyone knows, but I did follow the stats after the game, and on Tuesday I watched all of the highlights, and all I will say is I told you so. Jared Goff is going to be breaking out in the second half, and Watkins is starting to heat up, and I got to say two things that are amazing records. Not Kurt Warner, not Bob Waterfield, not Roman Gabriel, not Norm Van Brocklin, not Vince Ferragamo or Pat Hayden or Jim Everett. But Jared Goff is the only Rams quarterback in history to throw for over 300 yards in consecutive weeks with 3 touchdowns and no interceptions and win. So congratulations to Jared Goff on getting himself in the record books. He's really having a great year. I'm going to get to something on him in a minute. Also, the 94-yard touchdown pass to Robert Woods was the longest touchdown pass for the Rams since 1964. So that was pretty cool to find out and watch. And, you know, Todd Gurley is only going to benefit because the more Jared Goff becomes a threat in that passing game, the more people are going to leave the box, and then you've got to deal with the Rams' running attack. And we know how good that running attack can be, because I believe the Rams have the best running back in football lined up behind him, and that's number 30, Todd Gurley. So the more Jared Goff continues to light up the statistical stat book and the scoreboard, the more teams are going to jump out of that box to try to stop the pass, and that's just going to open up and unleash a whole nother animal. I said Jared Goff would go off in the second half, and since I said that, 2 straight games with over 300 yards, they've completely taken Todd Gurley and said, okay, we haven't forgotten about you. We're going to keep feeding you the rock. We're going to put you in positions to win. But this is going to be the Jared Goff show until teams decide to back off the box, and then it's right back to the Todd Gurley show. And Todd Gurley hasn't mined a lick. The Rams win this game 33-3 with a dominating defensive performance. Savage was absolutely destroyed in the pocket. Jadeveon Clowney, who I loved at North Carolina State.
He went to South Carolina,
South Carolina State, the Wolfpack. I know that. What did I say? North Carolina State?
He said North Carolina State.
Yeah,
He went to
no.
South Carolina.
Yeah, I know. I know the Gamecocks, not the Gamecocks, but the Wolfpack. Shut up. I know what I'm talking about.
Gamecocks. The Gamecocks.
I was right. What am I doing? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Okay. South Carolina's the Gamecocks, though.
Yeah, this game.
Hold on. Did he go to North Carolina State or South Carolina?
He went to South Carolina.
Okay, that's the Gamecocks. All right. Anyway, all I want to say is he dominated the first half, and then the Rams came out and really did a phenomenal adjustment to neutralize that threat. From everything I'm reading, it was 9-7 at halftime, and then the Rams just unleashed everything. This is a second half team, and for the first time in a long time, I'm not worried when the halftime score is close or we're behind because I know the adjustments are coming and they're going to benefit from them. E, you watch the game, you talk about it.
I did, and it was very interesting watching the first half. It was kind of like a boxing match where guys are just trying to feel themselves out or trying to feel the other guys out in the first quarter, actually first quarter and a half. And it was like, hey, I'm going to throw a jab here, I'm going to throw a jab there. I want to see what's working, I want to see what's not working, let's see where the holes in the defense are. And then in the second half, it was Mike Tyson versus Glass Joe. That's basically how it was. See, the Texans easily could have had a lead going into halftime. However, their kicker, and excuse me that I cannot pronounce his name correctly, this is his first year in Houston, but he missed a field goal wide left. And so Texans would never get close to scoring again because they already had a touchdown there. Savage led the team up and down the field. He wasn't that bad in the game. It's just that his first half was what provided the stats for him. Once the second half started, and the Rams just started getting touchdowns after touchdowns after touchdowns, and that play action beauty pass to Robert Woods was, like I said, a thing of beauty. And wide open, blown coverage by the Texans. He had a beat on the Texans corner by about 10 yards already. He just toasted the end zone. He ended up, I believe, adding another touchdown later in the second half. But this game was pretty much the way I thought it was going to go. The Rams are the better team, obviously, than Houston. If Deshaun Watson was playing, it's a different story.
Oh, no question, no question.
The Rams might still win, but it's going to be a lot closer. It's going to be high school. The Rams got over the 30-point mark again. They lead the league in points per game, or points per game on average, and they just do what they had. It was interesting watching Gurley the two because we're going to give you the ball. Okay, let me get a few yards. Great. Oh, we're going to throw this pass. Touchdown. Oh, let's give Gurley the ball. Okay, great. So they were using Gurley to keep the Texans defense honest, but then when they thought they might run, here comes a pass by Goff. He was just tearing up Texans secondary all day.
Yeah.
And it was here's one of the greatest compliments I can give young Jared Goff. It was 1980s Joe Montana-esque, the way he was just carving up that defense.
Really was.
I mean, it was something to watch, and it was nice that it was such a clean game on the Rams side. But when you're able to get Watkins involved, he only caught a pass or two, which was okay. Maybe more. I can't remember off the top of my head. But Woods had a big game. Gurley was all over the place. His stats don't say it, but he was. It's the stats that don't show up in the stat book that really are what Gurley pretty much did. And the nice thing is that although Clowney had a couple of big tackles behind the line of scrimmage in the first half, it was not going to throw again in the second half.
Yeah. That's that halftime adjustment. And it's so funny, Eric, that you compared him to Joe Montana because I remember draft day, they were doing an analysis, and I was expecting the guy that they were talking to compare him to Matt Ryan or Aaron Rodgers or somebody like that. But the dude threw Joe Montana out there, and I thought to myself, because at the time I was torn between Goff and Wentz, and that was the minute I said, Well, if this guy's anything like Joe Montana, then the Rams need to draft Goff and not Wentz. And then they did draft Goff, and then I went nuts because I was torn right up until the last 40 seconds before the pick came in. And it was that statement that made me go from Wentz to Goff because I lived through Montana. And you could say what you want about Peyton Manning. You could say what you want about Tom Brady. Joe Montana was the greatest quarterback that ever lived. Bar none, it's not even close. He did it in a time when you could actually hit the quarterback. He did it in a time when you could actually play defense. He did it in a time when the playing field was level and there were only 28 teams, not 32, so the talent was everywhere, not spread sparsely through 32 teams. And he still won 4 Super Bowls and dominated. So I was pretty pumped up about that. So I love that comparison that you made. Bottom line is the Rams improved to 7-2. Tennessee drops to 3-5 or 4-5. 4-5.
Houston, not Tennessee.
Sorry, Houston. That's right. Tennessee used to be
Not
Houston.
the Oilers. You didn't beat the Oilers.
Yeah, we did. In my mind, we did. All right. Yeah, no, it wasn't the Oilers. It was the Texans. So, good game all the way around. So, I want to switch gears now, E, and go right into our predictions. I want you to go first on the Thursday. Well, actually, the game I want you to go first on is Buffalo and San Diego when we get there. But Tennessee at Pittsburgh. Marcus Mariota being healthy. The running game for the Titans being what it is. Seeing what Jacoby Brissett did to Pittsburgh. And knowing what the Colts defense did to Pittsburgh. I know you're not going to get 2 bad games in a row from Pittsburgh, but on short rest, I'm not sold on Roethlisberger. I'm going Tennessee over Pittsburgh on Thursday night.
Listen, Tennessee could easily come in and win this game. They could easily come in and blow out Pittsburgh. But Andy Dalton had 115 yards passing just to A.J. Green alone. Now, to me, Roethlisberger is better than Dalton. And A.J. Green and Antonio Brown are top 3 in the NFL in wide receivers. You know, you could make a case for Julio Jones. You could make a case for DeAndre Hopkins and those guys. But I respect what A.J. Green can do as a wide receiver, catching the ball, getting open. With that being said, with Pittsburgh being at home, Tennessee traveling on a short week, I like the Steelers at home, but I think it's going to be close. And I can't say for sure what's going to be the difference maker in this game. I actually just want to watch a good football game, to be honest with you. But I'm taking the Steelers at home.
You're taking the Steelers at home. Shocker. E goes with Pitt. I don't know what I did with my papers. Son of a gun. Okay. Sorry, guys. I'm all kinds of messed up. Here we go. Yeah, I just think, you're not wrong about Roethlisberger and Brown being a better combination than Green and Dalton, but Pittsburgh just doesn't look good this year. They look awfully shady, if you ask me, but I digress. So next we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump in with the we're going to jump in with the I was right, 33 or 43. Okay. We're going to jump in with the Rams and Vikings. I want to get this game going here. The Rams' all-time record against the Minnesota Vikings is not good. Minnesota all-time is 26-16-2 against the Rams. As the LA Rams, they are 12-20-2 against the Vikings. And as the St. Louis Rams, they're 4-6. So nowhere on the spectrum have the Rams ever been good against the Vikings. It's one of those teams that just has always had their number for one reason or another. When we first started this season, and I, keep in mind, thought that Bradford was the quarterback, I did think that the Rams were going to lose to the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota. I did not expect the Rams to be 7-2 at this point. However, I fully expected the Rams to be 6-4. Actually, be 6-4. That'd be 10 games or 7-2. That's 9. 6-3. Sorry, I fully expected them to be 6-3. And maybe if Deshaun Watson was playing in the Houston game, that maybe would have come into fruition. But I look at this team and I think to myself, the Rams' defense is better than the Steelers' defense. the Rams' offense this year is better than the Steelers' offense. The Vikings have a quarterback that the Rams know and know very well. And right now, Jared Goff is playing at a whole nother level. And I don't really believe that the Vikings are going to take 8 guys out of the box. I think they're still going to load the box and say, Goff, you got to prove it again. I'm excited to see what Jared Goff can do in a dome. Remember last year, the only time he played in a dome was at New Orleans in what was, quite honestly, his best start of 2016. He was phenomenal. He went blow for blow and strike for strike with Drew Brees in the first half. It was 21-14 or 21-21. I can't remember. It was the second half that the Rams fell apart. He's going into a dome now, and, I think there isn't anybody on the Vikings like Jadeveon Clowney, and there isn't anybody in the Vikings secondary that's even remotely close to what the Rams saw in Seattle. I don't know how Minnesota wins this game without a running game. That's the other factor that's out of this is Cook is gone. And Cook scared me. Latavius Murray is a straight ahead between the tackle runner, and the Rams seem to handle those types of backs well. So I look at this game, and I'm going to say it again. I think Todd Gurley is at or just under 100 yards rushing, but he'll be well over 150 yards all-purpose with a couple of touchdowns. I think Jared Goff is at or near 300 yards passing. He may have a pick in this game, which scares me because I do think they have some pretty good corners over there in Minnesota. I'm not saying they're terrible. I look at this thing, and you know what? I think this is the marquee win that the Rams get. I don't think they'll get respect even after winning this game, although I think they will get more respect after winning this game. I think, I'm just going to say it, I think the Rams are going to win this game something like 27-21 or 27-20. I don't see how Minnesota can contain the Rams' offense, and I don't see how Case Keenum and his lack of mobility is going to survive Robert Quinn if he plays, Connor Barwin, Longacre, and, Aaron Donald and Alec Ogletree going from sideline to sideline. I think Kyle Rudolph will have a good game. I think that's going to be what moves the chains. I think Thielen will have his moments. But I think in the end, I have more faith in Wade Phillips and the Rams defense than I do Case Keenum and the Vikings offense. And saying that, I think the Rams have more weapons on offense than the Vikings can afford to contain. And I know the Rams special teams is better. So I don't know how you pick Minnesota in this game. As much as I said I don't want to deviate off of my, original thought process on how the Rams would do this year, I just didn't expect them to be this good at all 3 phases this quickly. I'm going to go with the Rams over Minnesota 27-20. I think Goff throws for 285 to 315 yards. I think he has another 4 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns passing with maybe a pick. And, I think Aaron Donald gets 2 sacks in this game. And I think Longacre gets a couple of hurries and maybe even forces a turnover with one of them. And that's where I stand.
Before I say who I'm picking in this game, I think this is going to be a fascinating game to watch. And I haven't looked ahead to see if I can get this game or not. Probably not because of the Bears-Lions game that I'll get. With that being said, I think this is going to be a very hard game for anyone to run on. The Vikings have one of the best run defenses in the league, and I think Gurley's going to find some difficulty finding hold on that when he runs. Taking screen passes is another thing. He might be pretty screen pass heavy in this game if it comes to it. I just think it's who has the better cornerbacks in the game, because the cornerback wide receiver matchup is going to be one to watch. Who is Xavier Rhodes going to cover? Is it going to be Sammy Watkins? Are they going to? And I hate to use this word, but are they going to waste Xavier Rhodes on Sammy Watkins when Watkins really hasn't done much in games this year? Or are they going to put work on Robert Woods, who's been tearing it up lately? However, their other corner, Trey Waynes, you can throw on him all day. So if they put Trey Waynes on Sammy Watkins could have a huge game. And don't forget about Cooper Kupp as well.
Yeah.
On the other side of the ball, Tremaine Johnson hasn't been his best this year. So line up on Stephon Diggs. Well, I think Diggs can take it deep. Diggs can take them over the middle. Diggs can maybe have his way with it. Who knows? But what Tremaine Johnson doesn't do is he does not work out of the slot. So that's where Adam Thielen goes. And Adam Thielen's been catching balls left and right the last few weeks. And, with 8 catches, 166 yards last game, he might actually have another decent game. And when I say decent, I'm thinking about like 75 to 125 yards. I'm never going to say, oh, yeah, this guy's going to go off and catch 150 yards worth of passes. Yeah, I won't do that because that's really hard to dictate. So, do I think Thielen's going to have another good game? Yeah, like I said, he's going to have a decent game. Like I said, 75 to maybe 105 yards receiving. Touchdowns are hard to predict, so depending on what's available on each offense, Sammy Watkins could go deep, get open. Woods can still go deep, get open. If they get in the red zone, watch Cooper Kupp over the middle or Higbee over the middle. But the other big cog in the middle for the Vikings is Kyle Rudolph. And if he can go down the field untouched and uncovered, it's really hard to put maybe a corner or even a linebacker on Rudolph when he can run right by you. So depending on how they utilize him, he could have a good game. With that being said, I am probably not going to be very popular with the Rams family this week, but I am going with the Vikings and their defense, their run defense especially. I think they're going to make Goff throw the ball against that Vikings defense. Again, Goff has been tearing up defenses all year, and I want to see it against the Vikings before I start taking the Rams in other big games like the Eagles in a few weeks and whatnot. So this is one of the big tests this week. I want to see it. I want to see how he does. But I'm taking Minnesota. I'm seeing more like a 31-30 game.
Well, it's fine. You can pick them, but I think if you're going to be honest, and I'm not a homer, you made that statement before. I think if you're going to be honest, in order for them to go deep to Stephon Diggs, you're going to have time. And do you really think the interior Vikings offensive line is going to stop Aaron Donald?
Well, yes and no. Again, the Vikings offense, with Jerick McKinnon on the field, they're going to stop Aaron Donald because Aaron Donald's going to blow right past that offensive line. Keenum is going to throw a little screen pass over to Jerick McKinnon, and McKinnon is going to be able to run. That's what the Vikings have been doing all day. If they can stop and prevent screen passes to McKinnon and hold him behind the line of scrimmage, then the Vikings are in for a long day.
Well, then
this is the game. This is the game I didn't want to actually have to pick, but I know I have to because obviously we're doing the show, we're doing our picks. But this is one game that I would rather just not pick and sit back in their back with a beer, enjoy myself.
Yeah. Well, you could still do that, and I will tell you right now, and yes, I'm going to say it right now. The Rams are going to have no problem doing that because we have the best middle linebacker in all of professional football in Alec Ogletree. I believe that. No one's going to convince me otherwise. The guy's a tackling machine. He's the quarterback on that defense. He's handled Ezekiel Elliott and the Dallas Cowboys. He's handled, Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks with, Jimmy Graham at tight end and, all of those running backs that they were throwing out on the field. The Rams defense has not been the problem at all during this stretch, and I can't wait to see Case Keenum throw 3 or 4 interceptions in this game because I think he's gonna. And I think he's going to get rocked, and I won't be surprised if Teddy Bridgewater comes in the game.
Let me ask you 2 questions. Actually, let me ask you a question and make one statement. You would take Ogletree over Luke Kuechly?
Yes, because he doesn't go out with concussions every 3 weeks.
Okay, understood. Point taken. Okay, the other thing is, we're not sure how the Vikings are, where their head is right now. They've been toying with actually starting Teddy Bridgewater this week. Mm-hmm. And I know you and I talked about this before the show. How I think you said you would have started Teddy Bridgewater.
No.
How can you start Bridgewater?
No. I wouldn't because of the leg injury, and the Rams defense scares me way too much. I'd rather put him out there against the Lions than put him out there against the Rams defense. So I'm just...
But with them toying with a possible even quarterback change, at this juncture in the season, where they stand in the standings, how can you even think about bringing that up? I mean, unless Keenum goes down with an injury, or he throws 5 interceptions against the Rams, and the Vikings get completely blown out of the water, then you can start hearing those whispers. But when you start hearing those whispers after the Vikings came off a big win in Washington,
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, who's our starting quarterback going to be? Well, who do you think is going to be your starting quarterback?
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I agree with that completely. It's.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Keenum has been more than serviceable for this Vikings team.
Oh yeah.
He was able. The Vikings were going to lose to the Bears if Bradford stayed in the game on that Monday night game a few weeks ago. But they put in Keenum at right before halftime, and then after halftime, he took he led the Vikings on the field for scores. So if the Vikings can make that change, they got one more loss in the loss column.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you. All right. Well, I mean, I could spend all day on this Ram game. I just will say this: if the Rams do blow the Vikings out, you're going to hear people say how the Vikings aren't really that good. And Case Keenum, we know what Case Keenum is, and he's not a marquee quarterback. And what are the Rams going to do against a marquee quarterback? Watch Drew Brees eat the Rams alive. And we're going to hear all of that talk if the Rams blow Minnesota out. If it's a close win, then we're going to hear how, the Rams did. It's a really good win for the Rams. But again, it's Case Keenum. And the Vikings defense is really good, but are they good as the Saints defense? Again, we're going to hear all the reasons why the Saints are still better, regardless of the outcome in the New Orleans game, which I'll get to in a little bit. I know for a fact for the Rams, this is not honest to God, Ramily, if you're out there listening, and I know you are, because I have several subscribers at this point, over 900. It's not a bad thing if we don't have home field advantage throughout the playoffs, because this is the best road football team wearing a Ram uniform that's ever existed. So I'm okay going on the road in the postseason. We're built to win no matter where we play, and that's pretty cool. But I'm not afraid of the confines of Minnesota, and I'm certainly not afraid of Case Keenum. Drew Brees, that's a whole nother animal, and we'll get to that animal next week. Meanwhile, Tampa Bay at Miami, Week 1 rematch for the game that didn't happen. I went with the Dolphins because I can't in good conscience pick the Buccaneers and Kirkpatrick. Although that means I got to pick Cutler, which I'm not real thrilled about either. Who'd you pick?
I'm going to take Miami. Tampa's in a world of hurt. I know they get Mike Evans back this week, but Miami didn't play that bad of a game against Carolina. Carolina just scored a ton of points against that defense.
Yeah.
I like Miami's defense a lot more than Tampa's defense in this game. But I also like that, Cutler's actually playing pretty decently. They still need to find a run game, but I do like the Parker, Landry, and Julius Thomas connection that Cutler has to throw to. So give me the Dolphins in this game.
Yep. Detroit at Chicago. I've got the Lions. I think that the Detroit Lions are not necessarily a playoff team, but I don't think the Bears can stop Stafford. And I could be wrong. If the Bears get a pick or a turnover, and any Lions are beatable, especially on the road. And this was where you thought the Bears were going to get their first win of the year, E. But I'm still picking Detroit. I think the Lions have they have the better quarterback, and I think their defense is slowly coming along, and I think their defense is a little underrated.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Lions in this game as well. But Detroit has won 8 of the last 9 meetings against the Bears, and Detroit offers up no run game where the Bears are actually pretty stout. You wouldn't know it last week, but they're expecting Danny Trevathan back this week. But look for Stafford to have about 40 to 45 pass attempts, and you'll see why Detroit wins this game. Yeah,
absolutely. Unfortunately, sorry, Bear fans. Jacksonville at Cleveland. Jacksonville big. This isn't even going to be close. I'm picking Jacksonville over the Browns. I love the Browns, but I have nothing to say. Fire Hugh Jackson. Fire Sasha Brown. Start over. And for the love of God, with the number 1 overall pick, draft a quarterback. You go.
Kaiser's not going to have a lot of time to throw down against Jacksonville. Look for them to get another 10 sacks in this game.
Yeah.
I know it's kind of hard to predict. They've done it twice already this year.
Right.
They're going to be all over Cleveland's offense. And there's going to be no room for Crowell to run. Corey Coleman is actually expected back in this game. However, I don't think that's going to make much of a difference. But Jimmy Jackson is big as well.
All right, Baltimore at Green Bay. I'm picking Baltimore. I think the Ravens' defense is better than what Hundley can handle. I'm going Baltimore over Green Bay. I know Flacco's really struggled this year. I know their offense hasn't been that great, but fortunately for them, they don't have to be because the Packers don't have a quarterback, and that's going to bode well for T. Sizzle and the Baltimore Ravens. So I'm picking the Ravens.
Yeah, give me the Ravens as well. The Ravens' defense is not going to let Brett Hundley look like a serviceable quarterback. In one of my fantasy leagues, I have Jordy Nelson. I'm actually thinking about dropping him. Or not dropping him, benching him, actually, in this game.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of suds on Hundley. But I also like that, Baltimore's finding some sort of flow on offense. I know they've been up and down a lot this year, but Macklin, Wallace, and I think you're going to see a lot of use of both Alex Collins and Javorius Allen in the scene out of the backfield.
Mm-hmm. All right, Eric. I'm going to ask you an honest question before I get into this one. Would you agree with the following statement that Coach Manna has a really good eye for quarterbacks?
Yes.
Okay. I told you Kirk Cousins is going to be good, and he is. They won't admit it. I told you Goff wasn't a bust. You said yes, and you all out there, hopefully you did. I am telling you, I'm not saying I think, I'm not saying it's possible, I'm telling you. I watched all 4 preseason games with the Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals in next year's draft will not, I repeat, will not be going after a quarterback because they have one. Blaine Gabbert fits this system like a glove. And whatever Bruce Arians is teaching, Gabbert is excelling at it. I think the Cardinals just became better than the Seattle Seahawks because you've got Adrian Peterson, you've got Larry Fitzgerald, they've got 2 linemen returning next week from injury. One of them was their starting left tackle that's been out for a good chunk of the season. Their defense is slowly improving, and I think Blaine Gabbert is the type of quarterback that can go downfield accurately and hit John Brown. I think he can hit Larry Fitzgerald in the slant, and he's going to know how to utilize Adrian Peterson in the passing game a little bit because they haven't been using him to this point. I'm picking Arizona to beat Houston, and I'm telling you right now, Blaine Gabbert is about to start, and he won't come out of the Cardinal lineup unless he's injured for the rest of his career. Bold prediction maybe, but I've seen enough to make me a believer in what Blaine Gabbert can and is doing under Arians in this system. I'm picking Arizona. I'm not going to say big because I don't think the Cardinals are there yet with the injuries on the front line still. And I think the Honey Badger has to play better, and I don't see him playing better yet, although I think we'll see steps. He's going to be a free agent next year, by the way, Honey Badger. I'm picking the Cardinals to beat Houston, and I'm picking the Cardinals to beat Houston because of Blaine Gabbert.
I trust Blaine Gabbert as much as I trust Tristan, who I trust as much as an old person trusts a wet fart. Give me Houston. Let's move on.
All right. I just spent all that time on the Cardinals, and you're going to disrespect like that, even though you just said I can evaluate quarterbacks. All right. Well, I'll get an I told you so coming up. All right. Washington at New Orleans. Now, you go first.
All right, I'll go first on this one. All right, well, the Saints are at home. Big game for them. They need to keep pace and stay ahead of Carolina, who's 1 game behind them, but technically a game and a half since New Orleans beat them. Washington comes in this game, put up 30 on Minnesota's defense, lost a close game, what the final score said. But Washington can stay in this game because of their 2 corners, one of them being Josh Norman. However, I'd like to see how Washington stops the two-headed monster of Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara. I think if they get going and they have another big game, it's going to be a lot of Washington defense on the field. The Saints have the defense to contain Kirk Cousins. Do I think they have the linebacking core or the secondary to contain Jordan Reed if he plays or Vernon Davis? No, I expect them to have a good game, but I think their corners can play soft, and they won't get beat by a Pryor, Doxson, or Crowder. But I do like New Orleans in this game. I think that you're going to see Drew Brees play another one of his typical games. 225 yards passing, one touchdown, and then the rest to Kamara and Ingram. He'll get Thomas involved. He'll get Brandon Coleman involved. He'll get Ted Ginn Jr. involved. You might even actually see a Colby Fleener signing as well, but it's not him, it's Josh Hill. But the Saints have too many weapons on offense, and with that ground game that's going on, it's now opening up the pass game for Drew Brees. It's not the other way around like it used to be. But New Orleans in this game for me.
I know. I'm telling you, I'll apologize if I'm wrong. I know Washington's going to win this game. But I'm picking the Saints because that's what the smart money's on. I do think Washington can stop the run. But Case Keenum made him look stupid. And I know the Redskins defense is going to be amped up to not let that happen again. But they're going to be too amped up and ignore the run. I know Kirk Cousins can tear up the Saints defense. He did it against the Vikings, who I think is a better defense than the Saints. And that was proven in week 1. But the Saints are home. The Dome Patrol is in full force. I'm changing my pick from Washington to New Orleans. I think the Saints are a better team. And I think that this is going to be the last game that the Washington Redskins lose in 2017. They've got the Giants. They've got the 49ers. They've got the Giants twice. They got the 49ers. They've got the Chargers, the Cardinals, and the Broncos. That's it. That's all they got left. And you're telling me there's a loss on there? I'd like to know where.
They've already beaten the 49ers.
Not the 49ers, the Cardinals. We got the Giants twice, the Cowboys.
At Dallas.
They're not gonna lose. They're not gonna lose at Dallas, dude. I'm telling you, there's not another loss on their docket. They win this, they go 11-5. They lose this, they go 10-6. I'm just calling it right now. Remember, I said it at this time, this date on Wednesday, week 11, in our prediction show, episode 66. All right, enough with that.
With no run game and no pass offense.
No, well, look.
It's scary, but I don't see how they're going to go 10-6.
Because P. Ryan is going to start getting it together. They're going to start using Thompson more in the running game. I'm telling you right now, they're going to have to, right? They're going to use Thompson more in the running game. I think that Vernon Davis is going to be leaned on a lot more. The Redskins defense is getting healthier, a lot healthier. And if they can go into LA and stop that offense, if they can beat the hell out of the Oakland Raiders in that offense, and if they can go into Seattle and beat the Seahawks, I'm sorry, going into Dallas without Ezekiel Elliott doesn't scare me. Going into New York doesn't scare me. Going to Arizona doesn't scare me. Like, I'm sorry, there's no one left on the... Look, if this was the Broncos 3 years ago, maybe. But it's Osweiler and this Bronco team. Everyone they play is horrible from this point forward. The exception of the Cardinals, who I think will be an improved football team by the time they get him. And I think Gabbert could hurt him. And it's going to come down to can they stop Peterson, which I think they will, because their defense is getting healthier. I'm just telling you. Kansas City at New York. I don't know how you pick the Giants. They're a dumpster fire. You talk about a wet fart? That's the Giants right now. They're a wet fart that you trusted in the restaurant, and now you got to limp into your car and hope you don't get poo on the seat. That's what you got.
Yeah, I see a big Kareem Hunt game, a big Travis Kelce game, and I see, listen, if the Rams can convert a 3rd and 33 into a touchdown, yeah, Kansas City's going to be able to convert 4th and 26 into 2 touchdowns.
Into 2 touchdowns on one. Well, you know,
Listen, you get what I was saying.
I do.
The
No.
Giants are disarray.
Well, here's the bottom line. Here's the good news for the New York Giants. If for whatever reason their defense does pull it together and their offense does get rolling, Giant fans can take somber in knowing that Ben McAdoo will find some way to lose the game. Okay. Buffalo, where you're never going to eat yellow snow,
No.
is playing San Diego. Oh, no. Never mind. Look, I want to pick Buffalo so much. I really do. But really? You're going to change quarterbacks now? I'm changing my pick. I'm changing my pick to San Diego.
Well, is Rivers going to play? What happens if Rivers doesn't play in Sunday's game?
Then I get a mulligan and I get to go back to Buffalo. But
I'm picking a tie.
that would be something if it actually broke down that way. And you have a better chance now with overtime only being 10 minutes and each team getting a possession. Look, you know, I have all the confidence in the world that Rivers is going to play. And I certainly think Melvin Gordon can do to the Bills defense what Kamara did to the Bills defense. To me, Phillip Rivers does play offense, but he may not have to. They may just hand the ball to Gordon 35 times and win the game that way. Who are you picking?
I'm picking the Chargers right now.
Okay.
I think their secret weapon, Aaron Eckler, he had some big moments against the Jaguars last week. 2 touchdown catches. He's a backup running back to Gordon. He pretty much outperformed him, but fumble in late in the game really put him back on the bench, and he wasn't heard from again. But there's a lot of good wide receivers on the Chargers. Keenan Allen, Hunter Henry wasn't heard from last week. Gates, don't even know if he still suits up or not. But Benjamin, Williams, and Allen, a lot better than what Buffalo's running out there. But Buffalo does it with defense. Don't expect Buffalo's defense to change with the quarterback change. Good luck to Nathan Peterson in his first career NFL start. But what is Buffalo thinking? And if this backfires on McDermott, he's going to hear about this for a long time.
He will, but I will say this. It does make sense given the rookie to start against the Chargers. It certainly beats putting him out there against, say, New England or somebody of that sort. But I know Bosa and the Chargers defense can put pressure on the quarterback, so I agree with you. It's the whole reason I'm switching my pick to the Chargers. I don't know what they're thinking. Cincinnati at Denver. I'm picking the Bengals. I have more confidence in Cincinnati, although it's in Denver, so I hate doing that. But who are you picking?
Give me the Broncos. I think that Denver's cornerbacks will really hold LaFell and A.J. Green at bay. Osweiler had a decent game against the Patriots. Just to Emmanuel Sanders alone. And if he keys in one of those guys, as far as either Thomas or Sanders, because one of them is going to have a big game, it's probably Riverside that Denard isn't playing on. I can't remember his first name. I can't remember if it's like Darqueze or whatnot. But whoever Denard is not on, that other wide receiver is going to have a big game.
Yeah, I'm changing my pick to Denver. I do like Brock Osweiler. I'm like the only one that likes him. I don't necessarily like him because I think he's a great quarterback. I like him because I think he's a serviceable quarterback. And until we know what he actually can do, and no, I don't believe you can know what a quarterback can do until he's been in the league a few years, and this will be his second year as a starter. So and we won't see what he does next year because he won't be a starter. But I'd like to see him a third year as a starter before I give up on that before I give up on that. And now, granted, if I have Brock Osweiler on my team and I have a high draft pick this year and one of those quarterbacks is available, you bet your bottom dollar I'm going to get one of them. But if I don't have a high draft pick, I'm willing to hitch my wagon one more year on Osweiler with a year to work with him and see what he can do in his third year as a starter. I'm not ready to give him the bust label like everyone else is, but I'm also not ready to give him anything but the bust label either. I'm just holding off on my final conclusion on him until I see him play one more season. And this could be a big game for him. I mean, I think if he plays well and he's home, and Cincinnati isn't exactly New England, I think he's had 2 rough starts off the bat. You know, he had to go into Philly, which is no easy task, and then he got New England at home. Let's see what he does against lesser opponents and build from there. So, yeah, I'll go with Denver. This is my upset pick of the week. New England at Oakland. I think this is going to be Marshawn Lynch's coming out party because I don't think New England can stop the run, especially without their middle linebacker. I don't think that the Patriots are going into this game thinking they have to stop Marshawn Lynch. I think they're going into this game thinking they have to stop Derek Carr. And I think that's going to open up running lanes big time. I think Khalil Mack will get pressure on the quarterback. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I'm going to say something like 38-35, but I think the Raiders are going to score more than the Patriots. And I know you don't agree with me, and I've already got you marked down to pick New England, but New England hasn't beaten anybody, and this is it. If you're a Raider fan, this is it. You lose this game, pack your bags, you're done. You're not going to the playoffs. You're not going to be a wild card. You're done. So I just feel this is a desperate game for the Raiders. I think they're going to give it everything they've got. I think they're going to give it one last really big push. And if they don't get past this game, put a fork in Oakland. So as I turn over to you and you're about to say, then put a fork in Oakland, go ahead, E.
Oh, you don't know me. Scratch that off in there. Give me the Patriots.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Listen, if the Raiders ever move out of Oakland, oh wait, they already are. So if they ever decide to stop breaking ground in Las Vegas, which they did this past week, this game is being played in Mexico City at Estadio Azteca. They played there last year against the Texans to a really big crowd. I'm actually surprised this game isn't on Sunday night, to be honest with you, because of where they're playing. London's one thing, but when you go to Mexico City, typically you want to show that to the nation of the U.S., Mexico, North America, whatever. You know, there's so many London games already, but this game being in Mexico City, I think they treat it a little bit differently. So this is the second year in a row that Oakland's there. They're basically giving up a home game. They're going to be giving up a lot of Oakland home games going on in the next 2 years. So I just don't think Oakland has that it factor. They don't have the defense. You're going to see Rex Burkhead running wild. You're going to see James White running wild. You're going to see Dion Lewis running wild. You're going to see Brandon Cooks with some catches and Gronkowski with a big game. I just don't think Oakland has firepower to stay all game with New England. Yeah, sure, they got Cooper. They have Crabtree. They have Cooks. And yeah, with Hightower out for the year, Marshawn Lynch might have a good game. But I'm going with New England just because I trust Tom Brady a little bit more than I do Derek Carr. So I actually don't think after the third quarter it's going to be all New England.
Okay. Philly at Dallas. Eagles 45, Cowboys 14. I don't know what you want me to say. Forget, even if Ezekiel Elliott was there, it would have been a much different game. It would have been Eagles 45, Cowboys 21. Philly's a better football team, offensively, defensively, special teams. The quarterback's better. Running backs are better. The wide receivers are better. The O-line is better. The tight end is better. The D-line is better. Should I keep going? The Eagles are better all the way around. And if you're not on the Eagles bandwagon yet, it's too late. It's done left you in the dust. I like this Philly team. And I only see really one other loss on their docket on their schedule, and that's either going to be again.
Let me guess who's that too.
Well, you might be surprised. I actually think it could be Seattle, because I think they will beat the Rams. Right now, if I had to pick that game, I'm picking Philly. But it's going to depend what the Rams do against Minnesota and New Orleans, because I just think Philadelphia doesn't really match up well offensive line wise with especially on the outside with the Seahawks. And I think those safeties right now, I love John Johnson. I love LaMarcus Joyner, and I do. And their other safety, but I don't think they're better than Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas. And Earl Thomas is back. I know there's no Sherman. I keep calling him Sherman Williams. Richard Sherman. But, yeah, right now that would be who I'd pick.
Have you been painting your house or something? Sherman Williams.
Yeah, no kidding.
Sherman Williams, whatever.
I've been doing it all week.
That's probably why you keep calling him.
I have no idea. It's like I don't know Richard Sherman. I know. It's oh my gosh, it's retarded. But anyway, yes, that's who I think they could lose to down the pike. I think the Rams are a possibility, but right now, if you tell me pick that game, I'm picking Philly. But fortunately, I'm not picking that game right now. Philly at Dallas is an easy one. Eagles in a rout. Who you got?
Give me the Eagles 38-24.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Philadelphia is a better team than us. It was with or without Elliott.
Yep.
Dak really needs to get outside the pocket in order to keep Dallas in this game and actually hit Dez Bryant every now and then to keep that Philly defense honest. But there's one place you can beat Philly. It's on their offensive line. They would need to generate a ton of pressure. But no Sean Lee in this game, so look for Jay Ajayi to have a big game running the ball. And I think they take Dallas to the woodshed and they're at home.
Yeah, I do too. All right, the Monday night game, Atlanta at Seattle. Julio Jones has a breakout game. I think he'll end up with his first big game. I think he'll have 100, well, since week 2 maybe. I think he'll have 150 yards receiving plus. I think he'll have 2 touchdowns. And I got Atlanta going into Seattle. I think they're going to be balanced. I think they're going to run the ball. And I got the Falcons winning 27-24 over Seattle. I just think that defense can put pressure. They've got the speed that can catch Russell Wilson. I do think that Russell Wilson will produce a lot of points. 24 is a lot of points. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a good game. But in the end, I trust Atlanta in that offense against a Richard Sherman-less Seahawk team more than I trust Russell Wilson and the wide receivers he has to throw to in this game. Now, it all goes out the window if Julio puts up another stinker and Matt Ryan throws more stupid picks. I just don't see it happening. I think Seattle's in trouble. And I think this is going to be a Falcon win. Who do you got and why? And score.
What's your score?
27-24 Falcons.
That's right. You said that. Sorry.
That's all right.
Totally blanked on that. Listen, this game would have been easy to pick if basically the news didn't come out yesterday that Devontae Freeman is most likely going to miss this game due to concussion. He's mainly been ruled out without the official ruling out designation in this game. And that takes a big component out of Atlanta's offense, their running game. They used a lot of Terran Ward last week after Freeman went out of the game. And Coleman was effective, but now they expect Coleman to be the lead guy, and I'm not sure if that's his forte. And so I expect to see a lot of Terran Ward again in this game. Now that really makes the Falcons one-dimensional. And I know they're going to roll Earl Thomas over onto Julio Jones' side no matter what side he lines up on. And it's not going to be Julio Jones that has a big game. It's going to be Mohamed Sanu and Taylor Gabriel that have the big games. And they need to throw Austin Cooper in there too. Because he's able to roll freely down the middle of the field without Earl Thomas because he's on one side helping out covering Julio Jones. It's going to be a long day for Seattle's defense. However, on the flip side of the ball, Atlanta's defense has been prone to give up leads late in games.
Yeah.
We've seen it. It hasn't been pretty. They had a lead against Carolina, blew it. And I'm not going to go into every which one of them, but that was the most recent one.
Mm-hmm.
As far as that goes, now without Richard Sherman on the defensive side of the ball for Seattle, obviously that creates matchup problems for Julio Jones or for Seattle against Julio Jones and Sanu and Gabriel and Hooper. But let's flip the ball to the other side. Russell Wilson has not been able to enjoy time behind his offensive line because they're leaky. It's a leaky offensive line. So he's had to run for his life majority of this season. And they haven't been able to get a run game going. If it's not Lacy, it's Rawls. If it's not Rawls, it's Procise. If it's not Procise, it's somebody else, and somebody else is getting injured, and this guy's getting injured, and that guy's getting injured. Their main constants really have been Jimmy Graham, who's stayed healthy this year, and Doug Baldwin, who's also stayed healthy, and Paul Richardson and Tyler Lockett. That's great. They're staying healthy because Russell Wilson is running for his life and pounded into the freaking turf.
Mm-hmm.
So as much as I was ready to just hop on Atlanta and say, you know what, I'm gonna take them because Freeman's gonna go nuts and Coleman's then gonna come out after that defense is worn down and just run right past them and throw them and whatnot. It was like, okay, well, let's take a look at Seattle, and then you look at all their holes that they have, and you're like, man, well, Sherman's out, Thomas is coming back, that's great, but Thomas can only do so much in the defensive secondary. I think it's a closer, low-scoring game. Give me Atlanta 24-23.
Oh, so you are picking Atlanta, though. Okay.
I'm going Atlanta, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I just